We're snorting cap rates and shooting up cash flow here at Deal Junkies. Welcome back to Deal Junkies. We did that about 4 times before we started. Had to pull it together here, guys. Come on. All right, guys. Welcome back to the show. I'm Gabe Johansson here with Trevor Howard, Mike Nuss, and Dane McKinney. We want to follow up our last episode by talking about some deals, and then we might get into resentments and
partnerships. How to avoid a bad partnership.
How to avoid bad partners.
How to recognize evil people.
Evil people.
There's evil out there, especially in real estate. You got to know how to spot them.
Smooth talking.
So, Mike, you got a deal you're looking at that's kind of interesting. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I got 2 lots in escrow that I like them. Need to do some EA, but it's 2 parcels that are stacked, and one's landlocked, which is fine because I am buying the front parcel as well. But next to it is a front parcel with a house. The house has been sold. There's a back parcel, which is landlocked, and the owner who owns that lot sold the house in front. So they have no access to this back lot. The back lot has been listed on the market for like 4 years, 2 different realtors. And the current realtor actually convinced the seller to fire him so she could try another realtor that couldn't sell it, and then fired him and then hired the original guy. So this landlocked parcel that's right next to ours would not be landlocked with what I'm buying. So I can buy what I want. Then I can get, if I can get that other lot, I can just develop differently. I can have a little more cohesive development. It makes sense for us to own it, include it. This landlocked parcel that I want to buy, though, has this old access easement from 1993. So on the other side of the parcel, in 1993, a lot was divided, and I think this one owner owned all of this. So 3 houses were built on a flag lot, right? And I think the way you do this is you want to do a short plat instead of a big plat, so you don't do all the division at once. They created the 3 parcels, and in that process gave an ingress easement to the landlocked parcel that is on the market, that can't sell, that's next to my not landlocked lots that I'm buying that I want to purchase and include into my development.
So it's landlocked, but somehow it does have ingress egress?
It has an old easement from 1993 that allows them to use the flagpole driveway from the development right next door.
Okay.
So it's not even on their land. It's an easement on the driveway that abuts, that goes adjacent to their property, which was created for the 3 houses built in the 90s.
Okay.
The other part is this is a higher residential zoning. It's mostly apartments. This isn't a single family neighborhood. You build rentals here where nobody's really building rentals. So there isn't any demand for the lot to begin with. Then you throw in the fact that it has these egress issues. So it has egress for vehicles. The problem is the way the fire code works. The fire code requires a 12-foot road and a 20-foot wide clear space. So the road that she has access to is 12 feet wide, but there is no 20-foot
so
clear space.
So you can't get a fire truck in
Can't get a fire truck there. So you can't actually get a building permit approved to build on that back parcel.
So it's not really landlocked. It's just you can't build. It's unbuildable.
It's unbuildable because of the fire code.
So why would anybody want to own it, and why did they keep it separate from when they sold that house?
Because people don't understand the nuance between all the bureaus and just zoning. Okay. So zoning says, yeah, you got the size, you have ingress, egress, you can get a vehicle in there, you can build something there.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, and then you can go to the building. You're like, yep, you can put in for a 1 to 2 unit. If you do the 1 to 2 unit, then the fire bureau is going to review it in this manner. If you do 3 units more, then we're going to look at it under commercial code, and fire bureau gets even more intense. But even in the 1 to 2 unit world, they can't meet the fire department.
So how does this benefit your development play? You can't. Could you build a building there because you get access to the other 2 lots?
So I'm building a fire road. I have the space, I have the width. With inside of my plan, there's various ways we can deal with the fire department. It's not an issue. Mm-hmm. And in fact, if I include, I can do what I want to do, cottage clusters. It's not a single family zone, it's a multifamily zone. So I can do this without land use review. If I get their lot, it actually makes it more complicated because now I have to go through land use review to consolidate them, and it makes it more complicated. But it's a decent sized piece of dirt. It has an ingress. It has ingress and egress easement, which I could then create a parking lot back there. Right. So there's ways that it can enhance my development, but not significantly. It's not something I want to pay $120,000 for. And so we gave them an offer, which they think is a lowball offer. I think it's more than fair, but we're at a point where the broker is denying the fact that it's the fire. He's just saying, "Oh no, we have a document for this. We have a document for that. We've given him all the evidence. He's provided no evidence that we're wrong." And he just keeps saying, rejected. We've never gotten a rejection.
Signed.
Never got a signed rejection.
He's just telling you it's rejected.
He's just telling us it's rejected. And I think what's happening is he just doesn't want to take this to the seller, or they're just trying to truly making decisions based on wrong information.
So being that you're not a licensed broker, you can just write the guy a letter or give him a call and say,
seller. Bypass the broker.
And just say, "Hey, do you realize what you have is not worth what you think it is?" Or what?
That's what I believe my next. So I want to be a good pillar, participant in our community and respect brokerage agreements and listing. Like, I own a brokerage. I understand listing agreements. I understand the culture that we try to have in the community. But at the same time, if you're just dumb and ignorant or malice and it's right next to me, because at the end of the day, once I've developed this property, it's worth nothing.
Did you write a cover letter to go with your offer?
I had my broker present it. And then since then, he's put us in contact, and then I gave even more background, and he's just not responded.
How did you decide it wasn't worth $120 and it had a different number on it? How did you calculate that? Like, how was it just like, I know it's not worth that to me because I can't really build a building on it, but it would enhance. I would pay.
Yeah,
X.
I took $5,000 per parking spot it would create for the amount of units I want to build.
Okay.
So I just valued it at $5,000 a parking spot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where'd you come up with that number?
I just pulled it out of my rear end.
It just sounded
he was
like
shooting electrons at a wall.
That's the best comment you've ever made on this podcast. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was just, if we can add parking, we'll just value it this way.
So you're going to buy those other two lots regardless, right?
Correct.
Oh.
Yeah.
So maybe you can just get that later for even less because...
But it adds no value later. I can't develop it as a parking lot.
Can you not... leave your road, leave that space with the opportunity?
No, because the way zoning works is I can't build a parking lot there.
You better call them quick.
I can include a parking lot in my land use review. So if I do it now, it can be a parking lot.
Isn't the city going to be pissed if there's just a useless piece of land right there? Or no, they don't care.
It already is.
Are they going to be pissed? It messes up the urban growth boundaries plan at a very, very minute, tiny little scale.
And they've got that all over the place.
Yeah. All over the place. I don't think they actually bake it into their model, but it's all over the place.
They should always try to protect you from landlocking a lot. But if it had ingress, egress, they might have gone like, whatever. You might not be able to build something there, but you could actually use it.
Well, and it's possible that someone can go in and get an exemption to the code and get a sprinkler system approved.
Or you could rip down the house in front.
Or you could get a smaller fire truck.
So that would be the only possible way to maximize that value is if a builder goes in and then submits permits, building plan review or an EA meeting that says, yes, if you do it this way, we'll allow
How
you
big is that lot?
to get a sprinkler system permit. 7,500 square feet.
Oh, so you can't, it's not worth doing all the extra work.
You can build a nice duplex.
Are there parking requirements there? Do these parking spaces allow you to build more units?
They don't require parking.
So it's just an amenity. You'd be able to provide more parking to your tenants if you had it.
Yeah. So $5,000 a unit. Okay, I can charge $25 more.
So when do you decide take one more run at this, and when do you decide it's not even worth it? Just go build what you're going to build.
Yeah, we're submitting an early assistance meeting right now, and I think that will really dictate it, which is.
Is that
their answers on a land use review? So the problem is a land use review because if you go to land use review, now you're permitting cottages, and Gresham still hasn't really worked through their cottage cluster code. So if I avoid land use, I'm just adding density, just residential units that aren't a product type.
And you're saying your cottage clusters, you can avoid land use the way it is zoned currently?
Correct. Because it's not single family. It's multifamily.
How many units are you going to build?
We haven't completely figured that out. If I tear down the house, I can do easily 14 and not too dense.
Okay.
If we keep the house, we can do like 9 or 10.
Okay.
So cottage cluster seems like the play right now because it's way easier to get onto. I don't fully understand, but what's the advantage to doing a cottage cluster versus multifamily?
So there is not an advantage because a cottage cluster is a cottage cluster because it's in a single family zone. That's the only reason you're getting special land use approval in a single family zone to go higher density.
Okay.
In a multi-residential zone, it's just more units. There's no land use review. It's not a cottage cluster. You're not asking for anything. It's all allowed by code.
Okay, so this cool thing about cottage clusters, you can put it where you otherwise wouldn't be able to put more units.
That's the correct.
And that's why the people we've been seeing, Dane, have been doing it? Okay.
Yeah, that's why people love
This
it.
is across the state? Or is this
The state
HB
faces
2001.
Okay.
House Bill 2001 forced local jurisdictions to create their own middle housing code.
Yeah.
And if they didn't, they had to adopt the state's code.
How come we're not building cottage clusters on anything?
How come we're not?
Yeah.
You guys suck.
Yeah. Yeah,
They're too small for you. You guys.
I was
They're not
gonna say,
Well, if you
like,
can go
we're-
put 14 units on a residential piece of land, like
You guys
we
are
can
better off
structure
doing
that
your
all
60.
I was gonna say we've looked at them, but it's like there's so many.
other.
It takes as
projects.
much capital to do that as it does your
Okay.
66 unit apartment.
Gotcha.
in
Gotcha.
Astoria.
So
What? Sorry.
Today,
Not total equity.
That's why I said that loud. Yes, that's what I thought you meant.
Yeah, maybe
What?
a little less, but
This
not
is-
much less. You
this
guys
is
not-
raised
no,
$2 million.
That wasn't an argumentative what.
Yeah.
That was an inquisitive what.
Oh,
What?
yeah.
Why?
Like when
Why?
your land, so you get a higher leverage on the sticks than you do the land.
Yeah.
Your land value of your overall project is
Higher.
significantly less than what ours is.
Our land value of the overall project is
Yeah, our value isn't made by income like yours is. Our value is made by the single family world overvaluing something. So we can only get these to cash
even
flow.
on cottage clusters.
Even on the back end, you can get them to a 1.0 DSCR.
Well, that's better.
what are you talking about? Why
You
can
have to get them to a 1.2 DSCR.
You wouldn't do a commercial loan on these?
What's
I'm
that?
saying
What are you
we-
talking about? I don't know
I
what
don't know
you're
what
talking
you're
about right
saying
now. Yeah. Tell me more. Keep re-explain
Inquisitive.
What do
that.
you mean?
I'm not following the values you're talking about and the monies and the DSCRs.
Yeah. Why do you need the same amount of equity to build 14 cottage clusters as a 66?
I'm not
unit
saying the
apartment
same. It's a different ratio.
Oh.
So in when we modeled out our 14 unit in Milwaukee that we built on, it was like $868,000 of capital is what we needed for that project.
Yeah.
How much do you need for your 66 unit? 2?
4.2 million.
Oh, I thought you needed 2. Okay.
Oh no.
My bad.
Yeah. A lot. It was
Details matter. I'm not a details guy. Why are you asking me details?
That's
Hey,
why I
other
yelled
deals.
"what" at you.
Yeah.
Today,
I thought it was 2 million. You needed 4?
I probably called you when we still needed
okay,
2 million. Yeah.
Right, that makes more sense.
today, me and Gabe are signing on. Yours doesn't really count. I'm signing on the biggest thing we've ever built and the smallest thing we've ever built
At the same time.
At the same time.
I was
the
like,
same
well,
day.
I signed
I've
too.
done one of these before.
Yeah, it's the same size though, so it's still the biggest.
66 is
Still the biggest.
Oh yeah, and it's worth more.
More.
Yeah. So
We're doing
So would you
a
go
duplex
through?
deal.
Would you go through the rigmarole of trying to get an extra piece of land just so you can have a parking lot?
this one
Yeah,
has a
Yeah.
parking
If you can just write a letter and call them and explain to them, and
100%.
on the
And it-
duplex.
Talk about one of the number one amenities you could provide in Portland, I would say, is
Oh
parking.
yeah.
You could rent those parking spaces for...
Okay, we can't release this episode now, dude. I'm in the middle of a negotiation. You can't. You just
No, we don't know
undercut
what
me.
we don't know what it is. What property?
I mean,
Yeah, and
that-
honestly,
No,
you
this
really
isn't in a
don't-
location where
you don't
parking's
need
expected.
it. Yeah, more of a bike place.
I don't do
where
parking.
you're buying.
I don't
Yeah.
do parking. We don't do parking.
You don't charge for parking?
We don't have parking.
Oh, you don't have parking.
They give all their tenants bikes.
Do
Though.
people in Portland pay for parking? Anywhere?
I don't know because we don't have parking.
what do they do with their cars?
They do it like
Park on the road.
The new stuff that's like tall walk up stuff. They pay for parking.
Yeah, they pay like $200-300 a month
Yeah.
for parking.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh
you-
no, people pay for parking in Portland. Yes, we just don't charge for it. We
I
we have
would-
some
I would in this
garages.
case.
We have some garages that will charge anywhere from $100 to $200 a garage for people that don't live on site.
I think you can get a whole nother rent out of that lot. Like it's a whole nother unit just charging for parking, personally.
Yeah, I think in this location we can more than we can in our other locations. But it's really weird. If we have a garage for rent, our tenants don't rent it.
That is weird.
I've never
Why?
had a tenant rent our garages.
Really?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. Who's
They
your
don't need
property
the garage.
manager?
They'll park on the road.
Who's your property manager? Say me.
Low
Say it's
blow.
you.
Me.
I'm just kidding. I have no idea. No, that's super weird. We don't own any garages, so I don't have any clue.
Yeah.
We have Mark and I did that Fisher Park deal in Salem. We built storage. We had a opportunity to build some storage units, and we thought, hey, everybody's going to love this. They're going to want to rent storage. And we rented a few of them, but it was not as popular as we
And it
thought
wasn't even
was.
to tenants, was it?
I
think you're right
We
on
don't
it,
want
yeah.
to rent them to open market because then you got just random people coming in and storing
Oh.
stuff, and
Yeah.
it's right on the property. So you want to rent it to the tenant if you
Yeah.
can.
And storage is different.
The problem is you can't rent at market rate because it's only going to those tenants. And the next problem was we weren't building micro units where people needed a place to store their stuff. We were
Yeah.
building 1,000+ square
Those
foot
were big
units.
units.
So they already had plenty of storage. They didn't need extra storage.
Lesson learned.
Yeah,
Build
yeah.
smaller
I mean,
units.
It created a little bit of income, but I would say next time around we probably would not do that.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
not not super expensive to build.
I was
going to
say it's not really a
and
huge
it was
loss.
available to build it there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Our biggest pushback for no parking isn't for people with cars. It's for people with electric cars because they can't get a charger to it. Yeah.
You have garages in these cottages, or are they just a little building?
Nope.
So, and the downside with a cottage is now you got 4 walls, you've got 14 roofs, so there's a lot more
Yeah,
siding.
the construction.
a lot more,
Yes, the
about
cost.
that.
Our construction costs are just as much, if not more, than yours. They're
For
probably
cottage
more than
clusters?
yours.
Yeah, for
So-
sure.
Yeah.
Do you like having economies of scale in one roof over an apartment complex versus many roofs over smaller units? I was
Yes.
thinking about that, and I think I like the smaller.
Why?
You can do it easier in phases versus one
the-
really large chunk of money.
On the acquisition side, smaller might be like fun because it gets spread out more over time. But on the construction side, your construction costs are so much higher.
And when you look at replacing one roof over
The square footage of it will be
Oh,
cheaper.
over-
or price
yeah.
per square foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over
yeah,
3 units.
you've got 2 or 3 buildings instead of 50 buildings. Like
Yeah.
I think you're gonna pay twice as much to replace the roofs, even though
Yeah.
you could do it over time on
Yeah.
smaller
Yeah,
ones.
it's not easy to build, and you have to build from the back of the site forward. Whereas, like in Seaside, you can just build the entire freaking thing. Right? You're not trying to phase out your construction.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you're building 14. Jaron's talking about this. He wants to do cottage clusters.
yeah,
He's got to build our duplex
I was gonna
first.
say he's been talking
He's
about it for a while.
practicing. He's going to start with a duplex.
Did you guys get your duplex permits approved?
Yeah, we're closing
Yeah.
today.
We're closing today.
Or Monday, or we're signing
Dude,
today.
this is exciting times.
How long did he tell us it would take? 8 weeks? How long has it been?
I didn't tell you 8 weeks.
No,
You
no,
said 8
he
weeks.
told you when we interviewed him. How long ago did we
That was
interview?
a long time
And what
ago.
did I say? How many months did I say?
Probably 8 months.
Yeah.
4
4 to
months.
6.
Who was
Yeah.
right? Who was right?
I think you might have been, but
There's a reason why I really am right all the time,
Why is that?
or why I like to be right.
Oh,
It's because I'm right all the time.
oh. That's why you like it?
I like it because I am. It's me. I like me.
So that's philosophical
I love
gold
being
right there.
me.
yeah, it'll be cool though seeing like the duplex going up and the 66 at the same time.
Yeah, it'll
See
be.
Who's gonna
cool.
build it faster?
Who can go faster?
I bet Mark.
I bet Mark.
I've got a hunch.
Guarantee you, Mark. Chad, I'll take you. Not Chad. Jaron, I will take you out to dinner if you can beat Mark.
I'm gonna level with you. They are pretty fast. Yeah, Chad's
Chad's not building it though.
pretty fast. Yeah, I know, but Chad taught Jaron to be fast. So I don't know.
This is
I
different.
don't know.
I don't know.
how
This
long
is
it'll
Jaron's
take.
first project.
This
Yeah.
is different.
He's going to do a great job.
I'm
excited.
very confident in Jaron. I'm not confident in him on how long permits take to come in, but I'm confident in his ability to be ahead of a schedule. Yeah.
I don't know. He's doing a TI for me right now. I think he's behind schedule.
Oh,
Well, I heard that was
But we're waiting
partially the owner's fault.
Partially my fault.
Yeah.
And we're waiting
'Cause
on
he
permits.
explained what was going on there, and that was not on Jaron.
It's easy for them to place blame on the client all the time.
Well, it's
Oh,
easy
this
for-
client always wants to change his mind. He
No.
always wants to do something different.
so we want to get into firing contractors.
Jaron's our partner.
Yeah, Jaron is our partner. Speaking of, we're gonna sell the deal we own with him. I
My
think.
ego really wants me to sue a contractor.
Wow.
General contractor.
Suing is just bad energy.
Yeah.
That's bad energy.
At least just
out
make a
into the
claim on his
universe.
bond. It is bad, and that's why I haven't done it.
Yeah.
I did text my attorney though. I was like, "Hey, can I sue this guy?" And he was like, yeah, and then I screenshotted that text thread and sent it to my acquisition and my project manager. I'm like, yeah, we're going to sue these guys. And they're like, yeah, go for it.
Your attorney's like, hell yeah, you can sue anyone you want.
No, my attorney is very not litigious. My attorney is all about why. He always asks me why. And then I told him because he lied to me and then he took my money. And if he didn't lie to me and then took my money, it's one thing. He's just bad. But if you're evil at the same time,
I think you got to pull a Gabe there and just forget about it and move on. Because now you're going to spend negative.
I already have moved on. I decided not to sue him.
I
said I thought about suing someone.
No, you sound over it.
But I decided against it.
You sound over it.
There are people I want to sue right now too, but I'll get over it.
Yeah.
Really?
So
but like, I don't want to sue Chris Bayard, but I.
All right, dude, you gotta stop bringing that dude up, whoever he is.
You should Google him. Google him. Matt Googled him.
Too much rent in your head.
Have you Googled him? No, it's just a continuation of a loop. This is just kind of funny, but it's losing its funniness. We'll stop it.
So speaking of that, how do you avoid bad partners? That's what you wanted to talk about, right?
We talked about that.
So I've been thinking about this. How do you recognize the signs?
Recognize the signs?
I think one of the signs, you're only valuable if you're in their deal, right? So it's like, how are you doing the deals together? How are you doing the deals together? Specifically, what I've noticed on the guys that have been crooks and really evil is, who do they surround themselves with? They do not surround themselves with A players. Right, so like you come to our meetups, we put them on stage. It's very collaborative community. We don't shy from anyone. Everyone knows who we are. The crooks are always surrounded by people that are a couple steps less than them. They are always the leader in the room. They never have anyone on par with them in the room. So Greg Pinio is a really good example of this. He wouldn't do the education circuits because he wanted the audience to himself. He wanted to control the narrative. He wanted to control the message. He wanted the neuro-linguistic programming. That's another very common thing with narcissists and crooks. They want to control the narrative. They really want to prey on people. And so you can see who they are based on who are they always communicating with, who are they doing deals with. So like Chris Bayard, always the newest wholesalers, always the new private lender, never actually lend to anyone before. Various, going from hard money lender to hard money lender to hard money lender, going from project manager from GC to GC. So they're never consistent with their network, right? Like you try and get me a GC referral for me, you don't get one because they're right? So they have this pattern of always moving forward, of always moving forward, of always moving forward. So there's no congruity, there's no consistency there other than they're typically working with entry-level people.
That's because they're always burning bridges.
Always burning bridges. Yeah. And they can't work with people that have more perspective, more experience, more awareness because those people will recognize them. Right. So what do I do now? I just recognize these people. But in 2011, I couldn't recognize him, even though Chris triggered every single one of my spidey senses. Wouldn't make eye contact at all. His eyes actually bounced back and forth when he was talking to you. He always brought God up in every single conversation and Jesus. He wore really slick clothes.
Watch
always
out for those
dressed
Christians.
Nice. I'm not saying watch out for Christians, but the best Christians that I know don't bring God up and Jesus in every negotiation, in every sales meeting. They don't create Bible studies inside of their organization that they're ripping off from the inside. There's a way to bring it in that is very spidey sense.
Wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah. Then really nice suits, really nice vehicles. And then I learned the word credit pimp from Chris. Oh, that was some other dude's name on the loan for the car. So are they putting things in their name is the other thing. Who are the entity owners? Who are they representing?
Who's paying for their truck?
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to get into I'll get into the backstory of the deal I'm working with now that is so fucking shady with the broker acting as a wholesaler. And my spidey sense has worked from the very beginning. I've spent time with this person, my acquisitions, and I even to the point where I'm done spending, I got into it in my office in person with this person, calling him out because you are so transactional. All you care about is the money. And they have some very similar things to what I'm explaining now. It's a pattern now you can recognize.
What do you mean they're a broker and a wholesaler?
They're a licensed broker that are trying to wholesale, but they won't tell me they're being a wholesaler.
Oh.
And in this scenario, we're finally doing a deal with them. 2 months later, because they took my offer that was written to the seller so they could leverage it against a fucking amateur, And then that deal fell out of escrow, and so now I'm in escrow because they used me to leverage an amateur.
Yeah.
And the seller, meanwhile, is getting screwed
Why is the seller getting screwed?
because he's working with amateurs and he can't sell his property.
I see.
Yeah. So you recognize these things.
What's the rule on wholesaling now? You have to be a licensed
Certified.
Oh yeah, certified, or you can be a broker.
A broker
but
can
whether
wholesale?
whether you're a registered wholesaler or you're a broker that is wholesaling, there's all these disclosures you have to do. Guess what? I didn't get
Any disclosure?
no
So
disclosures.
if you're wholesaling, you have to disclose to both parties.
and
that
I didn't know it was a
wholesaling.
wholesale until it was. We got it. Guess what? Your offer's accepted. We'll send the assignment contract. Like, what the fuck is that? Your offer based on my offer got accepted, and now you're going to send a wholesale contract to get the gap.
How many wholesalers do you think actually got certified?
Very few.
Is escrow? Do they have to check on that? Or
Ooh, I don't know.
because that's how you would regulate
That's
it. Right?
exactly how you regulate it. Is you enforce escrow companies.
Speaking of Jaron, isn't he wholesaling a deal right now?
He's probably not certified.
Well, there's another guy. So
I don't think it's hard. I don't even know if you have to take a test or anything. I think you just pay a fee and you put your name down on a list. So they know you're doing
and
it.
Jaron's partnering with Matt, and they just got screwed by a local asshole, evil narcissist.
yeah.
Matt who? Cox?
Yeah, Matt Cox and Jaron.
They did
guy-
a deal?
With a guy who used to own some appliance stores and things that you know very well.
Yeah.
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 Initials N and G?
Yeah, dropped their contract. I got a call. They're like, "Hey, do you know this guy?" And I just laughed when I read that. I was like, "Oh, yeah, that seems about right."
That turned into another internal thread on something, and it was like, I made a comment. I was like, fortunately, I met enough narcissists to avoid him. And then a friend was like, why the fuck didn't you tell me that?
So is that the red flag, narcissism?
Well, that's what you're spotting. Think of it. People that are
overconfidence. It's overconfidence.
It's not overconfidence.
Yes,
It's
is.
beyond that. It's manipulation. There's people that genuinely care, that get in over their skis, and they make mistakes. Those people are different. They're going to try and solve a solution. They're not going to leave you at the altar. They're evil, narcissist, manipulative people that you're just a step for them that they're going to step over to get wherever they want.
Well, I think they all talk really big, and then if you look at the actual track record or what they
don't
own,
have
it's
any.
none. It's
That's
none
the other
every
thing.
time, but
Yeah.
they'll tell you about all these things they are doing or have
They're
done.
posers.
Yes.
So they put on a big show.
Yes.
At one point, Chris needed me to pull information on old projects because he had someone doing a background check on him. He's like, I need to show him projects that I've done, do some research to show I was a member of this LL. Like, he wanted me to do, and I did it for like 15 minutes. I'm like, dude, you didn't even own that. What are you talking about? So there is a track record. So not just, oh, I'm doing this project. Well, look up public record. Who's doing the project?
So what you're saying is do some due diligence on these people. Don't take them for their word when you're wondering if somebody can actually do what they say they're going to do. Go look at their schedule of real estate, look at their past projects.
And don't look at current projects. Don't talk to the current project manager that's happy because he got paid last month. You got to look at, well, what projects have you completed? Who was the GC on that project? And then go talk to that GC.
I've always gotten in trouble with really like smooth talkers.
Yeah.
Like they sort of like baffle you with bullshit and you're like, oh yeah, I believe you. Like, I mean, they talk really? I mean, like you have a conversation, you're like, damn, this guy's smarter
I liked
than
that.
like, I can learn from this guy. He knows a lot.
I know a guy like that we all know. They're a lender, and not a bad dude at all, but just like that archetype of a person.
Yeah.
Just really bad thing. I was like, oh, and I found out they really sucked at lending, and then they were doing a new industry, and they're telling me all about it. Them also in, and I was like, oh, that I should do. And I was like, oh fuck, no, this is
It's happening again. It's happening
Same
again.
guy, just different thing. I was like, oh, that's crazy. Actually, I was like, I see how that works.
I did it again.
yeah.
So there are people that are just confidence men as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's typically a component of it.
You want to hear something? Side note that's a little crazy.
What?
Dane,
Always.
tell them about. No, you're going to tell us
Oh.
how you can just take over anyone's entity. And,
Oh,
on the Secretary of
Trevor
State.
thought this was so
Oh, yeah.
It's insane.
No, you have to have their login.
That's
you
what I thought.
don't.
That's what I thought.
Trevor said. You
Dan,
can
tell
go
him.
into anybody's LLC. So this is what I was.
Do
This is
we
what
want
I was
this
thinking
on
about.
air?
I don't think so, actually.
Yeah, no, I don't. Like, what do you mean? Yeah, tell it.
Is this like registered agent type
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah.
Because I got added. Remember that New York
Yeah.
thing? I got added.
No,
I just
so-
got
No,
It's
you
different
can
than that.
change it. You can change it on.
Tell them how
on the
you went through and
Secretary of-
discovered
You
it.
literally just
Yeah, online.
Well, I did.
I have my staff do this
I
for
did
us
it
all the
because
time.
for our project that we're doing right now, we didn't file the LLCs.
The attorney did.
Yeah, and then I was talking to the bank, and then
They needed us to
The
be on
bank
it.
was just like, "Hey, you can just go do that." And I knew that you could do it for LLCs on accounts that I hadn't like created the LLC on, but I already owned it, so I was like, "Whatever." And then she was just like, "No, you can go do it for that one," and I was like.
So
Okay.
he just goes online,
So
doesn't
then I
have to
went
log
in-
on, changes him to
Hey, Dane, you
registered
tell
agent.
this story, but
You're
then
taking
I'm
too long.
gonna-
You're taking too long.
Wait, but
So-
But that's just a website. That's a verification website. You're still.
yeah, but you can create the bank account and then you can just give them a false operating agreement. The only thing
Yeah,
that I could
that's
think
the
would
other
happen,
pieces.
the only thing that I could think would happen would be if they had a loan on it and then the bank was trying to get a payoff.
are you saying you're adding yourself as registered agent though?
No,
And
not
member.
registered.
You can
agent.
change
You
all
can
the
make
members.
yourself the
Member.
managing member. You can make your address the address where the mail
Make a
goes
fake
to.
OA and go get
all
a bank
of it,
account.
and then go get a
But
bank.
you'd still have to put money in, and then those
No,
other
because
people.
think about this. Think about this. So you go and find a $20 million free and clear property that's
Yeah.
owned by an LLC.
Yeah.
And you just go make yourself.
You
the
just
owner
make
of
your
it?
thing
Nope.
and then sell it for
no,
$10 million.
you can't. You
Why?
can't because escrow's going to require the backup documents to show you actually are the member
What backup
to it.
documents?
It's going to be your
The-
operating
Yeah,
agreement.
dude.
You can do
So if
whatever.
you have a fake operating agreement,
Yes.
yeah, sure.
I can
so,
print
but
an
it's-
operating
There's more
agreement.
levels of fraud to
Well,
it. Yeah.
and on title, you're not going to be on title just because
The
you
LLC
own-
No,
is.
but if the
The
LLC is on
is.
title and your name is
Is
the
on the
only
LLC.
member on the LLC,
Yeah, and they just allow you to go. So I didn't believe him, and then he just went and changed himself to the owner of one of my LLCs.
yeah,
to
I
show
own
me.
120 investments.
That's amazing.
And I was like, "There's no shot you
he
can do
was
this."
like getting mad at me, and I was like, "Well, I'm
the
gonna
key
do it then."
component is the operating agreement fraud, but
no, it's all fraud, but it shouldn't be.
Like
the key component to do anything fraudulent other than just the website is the operating agreement. You're going to need that to transact.
No, you
on
would
anything.
go to jail. Don't do
No, this is
It's
fraud.
fraud. It's
This
fraud.
for
But
sure.
it
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
but I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah.
that's the you need this other document.
Yeah, but you could just make it.
I could give you that
It
document in
doesn't have
5
to-
minutes.
Yeah, we got.
I
one on- have it on
understand
my
that.
phone.
What I'm saying is there's levels to this, the how you want to do it. We're just arguing on nuance.
No, I know it shouldn't be that easy to go and do.
I agree.
Like
we
they
could,
shouldn't
we
let you
could do
log
it
in
today.
I agree.
We
I
could do
thought
it
you had to log
today,
in.
By the
and you
time
could go to the bank and make a bank account,
Okay,
and then
this is devolved,
refinance.
so
and then
this-
refinance a paid off property and have it wired to that bank account.
And then, yep.
You
So
find a.
at some point they would do some due diligence at somewhere, wouldn't they?
I don't know
on
how
all
they would.
How are you going to provide all the trailing data to get your refinance? You're going to make that up too?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You could go into.
I mean, I'm sure there's people that'll do it.
Yeah,
There's title fraud out there.
But attention
that
Secretary
blew
of
my
State, you
brains
should
out.
fix
Yeah.
your website so
Yeah.
you can't do that.
That's a wild mechanism.
Oregon's websites are pretty easy to manipulate, but
I was blown away.
You might want to call them and tell them that they've got a problem there.
Yeah, don't do it. Well, yeah, guys, don't do it. But we thought through all of it, and I was like, dude, I think you could just do it. Like, I don't know how. I couldn't find. I mean, the biggest thing that I could see as being this is going to be your biggest hurdle is for those of you who want to do it, don't do it because you're going to go to jail. But if you were gonna do it, you would have to do it on a smaller property because any of you who want to steal other people's money are probably not going to have enough money to. So, like for example, on the $20 million property, they're going to ask you for liquidity.
Yeah.
And then you could. Those could be fraudulent, but any bank that's doing a refi on that, you're probably getting actual
no, but you're
statements
selling it.
that are verified.
If you're selling it,
Can we move on?
you don't like this?
Not at all.
Criminal minds.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is not the energy we need on our podcast.
How crazy is that though?
That's insane, is it
Yeah.
not?
No, it is insane,
That's
but
wild.
we can just move on at the same time.
It's so.
No,
fun.
I want to keep talking about
Let's
this.
acknowledge
3
it.
verse 1.
All right, this is a tyranny.
So what are the red flags? What are things people should be looking at? Everybody, we love partnerships. It's one of the, I think it's my favorite thing I've said about real estate, but I've also said it's my least favorite thing about real estate. So the right partners can make a deal just absolutely wonderful, and the wrong partners can just ruin your life. Like, you'll just wish that you had never gotten into real estate to begin with. So how, like, we've talked about it a little bit in the past about how to find the right partners. Find somebody who has skills, find somebody that's smart, who has money, all of the things that maybe they offer some different personality traits that you don't have. They want to be more detailed or less detailed, or they want to work on the building or whatever it is to fill in the gaps not just I want to go do a deal with somebody else because I'm scared to do it by myself. Like, you really have to be intentional about the way you put your partnerships together.
Yeah.
And I think that's what will make them successful. Now, what we're talking about today is how you can end up with a bad partner. And a lot of times somebody will tell you they've done those deals or they have that money and they don't actually have it. So how do you
trust but verify?
I was going to say,
and the verify part is huge. Everyone trusts on.
How
the
do you verify?
I think the verify.
You have $300,000.
Give me a bank account.
Let me see your bank statement.
Yeah.
Like, how do you have 300? Like, if I would have asked that question to the last person who told me they make $300,000 a year, I would have saw they had negative, like $20,000.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think a big piece too, in one man's humble opinion, who's only gotten lucky probably, but in my mind, is the word of mouth from other people. Like, there's certain
reputation.
Yeah, totally. It's like, I'm just going to talk to everybody else and be like, hey, what do you think of this guy? What do you think of this guy? What do you think of this guy? And like the one guy who you're talking about, there were like 10 people who were like, don't do deals
and
with
I still
that
did it.
guy.
Yeah, they told me though. I had
just
to learn.
over and over and over again. And it's like, well, but what he's saying, and it's like, okay, who do you trust? Like these 10 people that have never given you a reason to not, or somebody who maybe has.
The other thing is, I flippantly shit on Chris Baird, but you don't talk bad about someone unless they really need to be talked bad about. Like, there's people that have screwed me over that I don't talk bad about.
Well, to clarify, good people don't talk bad. So like, you know who the good people in your life, and like that guy, again, like he would talk bad about a ton of different people. Yeah. Right. And it's like, well,
we just don't do it on the podcast like you do. We tell everybody we meet certain people to not do business.
And let's go back to framing. Let's clarify. I'm not shitting on Chris Baird. I'm warning all the people that are in the potential wake of this human being to not.
We have several of those people we could warn you about. So maybe if you're getting into a partnership, here's the lesson. Ask 10 people what they think about that person.
There you go. Yeah. Ask 10 people what they think about that
10 people who you trust, who they don't like directly already do business with, where it's like they have no incentive to tell you yes or no outside of what's the truth, right?
References.
Yeah.
References.
Call their references.
Get their credit report.
I think you ask
I'm not kidding. Like, there's no reason, if you're going to sign an operating agreement together, there's no reason not to share your credit report.
Get a list of things that the bank needs when somebody's going to get a loan, and then go get it from the person you're thinking about partnering with.
Criminal background,
track record, bank statements, credit report. That's what, $300K in the bank.
Why
credit
not?
report, references, background.
I would have saw 300 credit score, negative $20,000, and no projects. But instead, I thought they made $300,000.
So, and I going back on what Gabe was saying is the sweet talkers, right? So the reason evil people succeed and the reason con men succeed is they sweet talk you to the point where you don't check anything, right? They just keep you from doing your due diligence because they give you a level of confidence. So how do they do that? One, they answer questions with questions. So they're dodging, they're running around, they never get to a point. So they're telling stories to get you excited. They're answering questions with questions to distract you, right? So if you ask a good question that gets them in a bad spot they don't have a good answer for, they will answer with a question to get on a different track. So they're very good at rowing the boat in different directions as part of their master manipulation side of it. The other thing I was going to say that I can't remember is they hype you up.
Yeah, when you mentioned that, it made me think of like, we all live in greed and fear.
Yes.
And what I found with these con men, every single time, they were able to make me have no fear and just think all greed. Like like on that scale, they were able to just keep me in the greed corner at all times and never think about the things that could go wrong, even though everything was always going wrong.
Yep.
Bad news does not get delivered.
Yeah.
Then
Only
there's
good news.
So that's master manipulation. Then there's the masters of the masters, and you get into the Greg Pineos. And like what Greg Pineo would do with coaching is, when you're a coaching student of you, he would just pour in water. He'd plant a seed and water just enough doubt. Plant just enough seed of doubt and water that doubt enough that you question yourself that you need him. And then on the other side, he was building you up to believe that you are something that you are not. That is master, because now you need him for multiple ways than one.
Yeah.
You are this. You are capable of this, but you need me to get there.
Yeah.
And I've seen him do it to so many different people. And like when I, blasted him in public on Facebook, the reaction I got and the people who reacted negatively, I know exactly what it is. I know what their fear is. I know what their pain point is. And I know exactly how Greg is pushing that button.
He's just baiting all of them.
That's exactly what it is.
He's a master.
It's a master
baiting.
It's a masturbator.
He was so excited to do that.
He was.
You set him up on that one?
He loves to set me up.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
So your partner doesn't need to give you confidence, right? Like, why does your partner need to build confidence up in you? No. If you're a good partner for them, they're already excited. They don't need to build you up because you already provide what they need. So if your partner is like, oh yeah, let's do a partnership. You can do this, you can do this, you can do this. That doesn't matter because you already know you can do those things. You've done a self-evaluation. Those are your skill sets. You need to be looking, and what are you going to do? And how do you do that? And where does your skills prove that you're going to do this part of the equation? So anytime someone's trying to hype me up, my spidey sense goes down. I can't wait to get into the backstory of how my spidey sense got triggered and I was right. And I'm just so watched all this shit happen.
Are you going to tell us?
I will. But the deal's
Later.
The deal's
Okay.
not
Later.
done.
He can't
All
talk
right,
about it
let's
now.
wrap this one up. We got
Okay,
meetings.
so do partnerships,
Mm-hmm.
but be careful.
Yeah, those were actually better red flags than we've talked about in the past. That was good.
I thought about it.
Yeah, that's good.
I'm surprised Mike didn't tell all our listeners, you can do this. You can do a deal, but you should probably partner with us. If you want to do that deal.
Well,
It's not the truth. You guys can do deals on your own, do them with other partners, do them with whoever you want. But I would suggest being super careful, especially when you pick out your spouse, because that's the number one partnership. And those things can screw you up forever. And it's a lot worse than probably taking a bad business partner. Oh, Dane's going to raise his hand
I
on
am.
this one.
I got my first email from a listener this past week.
Really?
Yeah, just advice on a deal. It fired me and Trevor both up.
He was pumped
I
up.
was-
Yeah, he sent it to me.
wait. Out of all the people on this podcast, they emailed you?
Well, I'm the only one who's told him my email. Yeah, I know. Bad luck, boys. So I sent it to Trevor and I said, give this guy some advice. No, but I emailed him back just like what we would do in this. It was a seller carry deal.
Mhm.
I said, he was like, I just don't feel like I'm comfortable here. And I was like, well, tell him you're good with all this and then add this in is what we'd ask for and he'll probably take it. And then he said, okay, I'll reach out to him this week. So waiting to hear back, but I was hyped up about that. Email us about deals.
Yeah, it's fun to get
so
interactive.
Fun. It's so fun.
Yeah, it's fun to get interactive.
No, and
with
we're
you.
not trying to wait. We'll just help.
Yeah.
Like it's not. I can do a deal a week, and maybe don't. I don't know.
Free advice from Dane McKinney.
Are you a coach now?
Not at all. But I'll help with deals.
He's
It was
the
a
next
fun
Greg
deal to look
Pinio.
at.
Ooh.
Don't say stuff like that.
Yeah, don't
Don't
that
say
was
stuff
mean.
like
That was like
that was
one of the worst
gross.
insults you could ever say.
Hurtful.
Those
We should
who-
have Greg
I don't
on the
even.
podcast.
I don't even know that guy.
Dude,
love
he
to
would come on. I guarantee you, if we invited him on, despite
And
how
he has a lot of good info.
he will come on. He does have a lot of good info.
Those who can't do
That might be one of the
teach.
best podcast episodes.
Those who can't.
Well,
do-
no, he can do. He just can't do anymore because the fucking IRS is again, like the SEC. Like he has all these three-letter agencies after him.
There's another red flag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. If there's a three-letter agency after him,
I've had that one too.
we got called by the SEC because of Chris Baird.
Yeah.
Whoa. Those who can't do teach. Those who can't teach PE. My dad was a PE teacher.
Dang.
He couldn't do or teach.
I like sports.
All right.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot for listening. We love you guys. We are the Deal Junkies. You are the Deal Junkies. Please share us, and we will see you next time.